And then the friends that are better than you will instinctively coach you. So those are the 5 reasons why hobbies are greater than work. And essentially, the honest ideal that this gamification concept is trying to achieve is, can we make work or study actually as fun, engaging, and as wanted by us naturally, with genuine burning desire? I want to work, I want to study. I can't wait to study tomorrow. Let me get up at 4 a.m. kasi mag-aaral pa ako. Kasi I need to work. I need to file those papers. Can we make it as exciting as that? And I'm here to tell you that we tried. Well, actually, more accurately, the world tried. And here are some instances of how the world tried to capture that idea. There's a company called Deloitte. Um, and what I wanted to highlight in these examples is that all these gamification endeavors are trying to reach some kind of goal, some kind of output. So for Deloitte, it was to reduce the time to completion of their certification for the participants. So if I have a certification program that can be completed in 4 months, can I just complete it in lesser time, say 2 months, and then get the same outcomes, get the same set of skills represented in the people who took it? And that's what they did by utilizing badges, leaderboards, status symbols. So these are actual things that they printed out. Some yung mga pin, they printed out pins that their employees can actually put on their collars to signify that they have already completed some kind of certification. Status symbols. Domino's Pizza, well, this case is really, we all know that it's a gimmick, but it's a fun example anyway. They created a gaming app called Pizza Hero, and in Pizza Hero, their customers are allowed to mix and match pizzas and create new pizzas and actually order them after creation. So it has an appeal to creativity of the consumers, and it was used to drive sales. This is one of my favorites because I've used it once. So this is a website called Stick. You can just simply do www.stick with 2ks.com and you should be able to visit the site. Um, the main mechanic of this website is pretty straightforward. It just gives you access to your bank. You give Stick access to your bank account, and then you set a goal. I want to run 5 miles today. And then you will be assigned 5 random people from the internet to just guard you on your commitment. Nagawa ba? Nagawa ba talaga? Did you run 5 miles? And if you are not able to do so, auto debit to your credit card, to your bank account. So the site is promising behavior change, more specifically group facilitated behavior change. And they have been collecting success stories ever since. Actually, I was a fan of this last 2016. And then back then, ang nandun lang sa stick is the stick for the personal commitment. I want to run 5 miles. I want to do 20 sit-ups. I want to do 22 push-ups for 5 days a week. But now they have stick for workplaces. So for those of you who are in the industry, you might want to check this out and see if it will work for the dynamics of your group. A little bit more less serious than stick is Habitica. You don't get you don't get charged for a loss or not sticking to a commitment. Rather, in Habitica, uh, you are able to gamify your life by turning all your tasks into equivalent monsters that you can subdue in game. The credits that you can use to level up your character will actually come from you doing the task in real life. So you do a task in real life, say for example, you jog 10 miles and then those get turned into points or coins that you can use in the game. Very, very straightforward stuff, but really fun nonetheless. Open to abuse because you set the goals and you do the goals, but it's a good gateway. If there are gateway drugs, then Habitica is, I would consider it the gateway app for learning to gamify and being immersed in gamification concepts as well. So life design and habit creation is the target of this particular endeavor, Habitica. For the tech guys among us, Microsoft also uses gamification. So Beta 1 marked a marked an improvement in participation of its user base and employee base once it got released. There was a program called Ribbon Hero 1 and 2, which is very nice because I remember when I was still teaching around the year 2013, parang this got released and we were trying to use it, figure out how to use it in our EDPS classes, which was again, I think at the time that was the program to teach non-CS people CS things. Um, and it was a gamified way to learn MS Office skills. And their website wanted to highlight that it's so good that there was a Ribbon Hero 2. They created Ribbon Hero 1, the reception was so good, then comes Ribbon Hero 2. And I think this is second to the last example for those that are into the industry applications. SAP Community Network, they released it. They got 100% increase in usage. So they doubled their usage in a span of 1 year. Sorry, I wasn't able to include it in the slides. There's also something called the SAP Streamwork, which is an idea generation platform that they used whenever they had whenever they have meetings, and they grew idea generation by 58%. Sorry, the detail that I left out is these new ideas are the ideas that reach deployment. So 58% new ideas that did not stay as ideas, but rather reach deployment sometime later. So usage and general visibility is the target of SAP. For the researchers among us in the audience, gamification is also actively studied and um, refined as the years go by. For instance, there's this staple paper by Snow et al., which I really like. I really like it because it gave a term to the thing that's happening, the phenomenon that's happening. They called it spendency, or the propensity of the students to spend in-game currency. So they were trying to explore, will creating a currency that's will creating a currency inside some kind of instructional learning system uh influence the behavior of the people or the learners or not. Pretty neat stuff. But essentially there's a common ideal that binds all of these examples together, and that is, as I've said earlier, can we blur the line between work, learning, and play? As in, really imagine a world, and to the gamers among you, really imagine a world where there is utterly a one-to-one correlation between your in-game performance and your productivity, such that such that when you're doing well in the game, you know that you're winning in life in some way. In whatever aspect you decide to be is your true measure of success. That would be pretty cool. Um, So there are parallels, and why we are endeavoring to do this is because we can really see parallels in the way we work or study and the way that we play. For instance, in the industry, the term is grunt work, and this is the work that you do every day, repeatedly. Same thing over and over again. Reports, you program, you make sure that the numbers are balanced. But when you do them, you end up sad, exhausted, resentful, wanting an escape. But in games, the grunt work is also existing in the form of grind. If you've ever played RPG games, Cabal, Flife, the early days of Ragnarok, you know that there's such a thing as a concept of grind, which is just repeatedly killing monsters day in, day out. It looks like grunt work, but the difference is we're happy and motivated to find that next monster. We have already killed 1,001 slimes and we're looking for slime number 1,002. How could we capture that is the essence of um the gamification we're trying to describe. But of course, we recognize that there are skeptics who say that, but when you're creating a business, it's not a game. My classroom is not a game. You should be serious. The path to mastery is not all rainbows and butterflies. And we hear you. You're correct. To those who are thinking this way, you know what? Your dissent is valid. There are whole research teams that are studying the cons of gamification. And one of the things, or one of the greatest critiques of gamification, is that you're already grown ups, you should be able to motivate yourselves. And another is, if I sorry, the other critique is, whenever you have these gamification systems, the moment that you take them out, the productivity drops to below the rate at which it was being done before the gamification intervention was applied. So if my baseline productivity is here, you apply the gamification concepts and you're able to boost the productivity of your team by 25%. Once, say, the SEM ends, the productivity drops below the baseline. So it's sort of like, did you just give them some kind of fast drug to do well on your subject? And then when you pass them to the other teachers, hindi na. Valid dissent. But there's a but yeah, dissent is valid, but the area of gamification is still promising though. We have been seeing modest uh gains in the other direction, and we are very interested in trying to see if we could scale them. So for instance, in a recent meta-analysis, they are able to show that there are modest gains in terms of cognitive function, motivation, behavioral learning outcomes when these gamification systems are applied. But the factors contributing to successful gamification are still somewhat unresolved. So hindi talaga natin alam as of the moment, is this really the feature that allowed this certain outcome? Like, if I take away this feature, can I scientifically say and scientifically prove that, bumaba yung scores nila, tinanggal mo eh. We are not yet there, which makes it a little bit more fun kasi we do not have a good grasp of what features work and what features do not. We have frameworks, and that's the thing that I will try to discuss in later slides. But that um, that accuracy of pinpointing features that work or not is not yet here, which is, to the researchers among you, it's an open area for inquiry. All right. And I think in my notes, the one thing I wanted to say in this particular slide is, perhaps this is the first bulb of Thomas Edison. Gamification is currently at the space where the first bulb already lit up. It already lit up, pero sumabog siya. And what we need to do is to figure out how to keep the light on. Our job as researchers or as interested individuals is to do experiments so that we come up with a version of gamification where the effects are lasting. Ngayon kasi hindi eh. Parang hindi siya naglalast. You do it for a SEM, okay, happy kayo lahat. And then for after the SEM, wala na. We want to get to that point where the light bulb stays on, which I will try to talk about a little bit more in when I go into the frameworks for gamification. And of course, my last attempt at convincing the skeptics, there's recently a case for infinite games. And infinite games are systems or games that are designed for no other purpose but to keep the player playing. Again, I'll save you the trouble of buying and reading the book, but it's great if you want a copy of it. Maganda siya. Here's the gist of an infinite game. The intuition is, in a long enough timeline, whoever doesn't stop doing X will be better at X compared to someone who stops. Hence, the win condition really is to just figure out how to make your students, your team members, your organization keep playing the game. Keep playing the game. Just survive and keep playing the game. Make sure that your team does not implode from inside factors and does not explode because of outside factors. When you play to survive, when you play to just keep on playing, then that's the time that you can just keep the system alive and outcomes will show later on. So that's the concept of an infinite game. And I think that appeals to me, especially because I've been teaching since 2012. I know students who, during the SEM that I'm with them, hindi talaga nila nakukuha yung concepts. But two SEMs after, gets na nila. So, if it begs the question, was it fair to give them a lower grade just because their timeline for understanding the topic is not that fast compared to other people? Na 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 experience yun na ba yun? Parang you as a student, di ko talaga nagigets, and then 30 days later tapos na yung SEM. Ah, oh my God, gets ko na. Why? So that's sort of like the appeal of infinite games. Can we try to measure the propensity, the can we instead grade some kind of potential, and can we create systems that could grade the potential accurately para hindi naman masayang yung grade natin? Parang, is there a way to predict that sometime later this student will get it? I know he will get it based on what everything is, based on the things that are happening right now in his process of learning. Hindi abutin ng SEM, pero sometime later on a long enough timeline, I know that these are indicators of a student who will get it eventually. So yun yung appeal of infinite games. And that's what we're trying to incorporate into the design of our gamification systems uh, today. So you can imagine na, alimbawa, if you situate it within the examples that we gave a while ago, if you're doing grunt work for a company, you have a team, pero you're exhausted nga, siguro in a 10-year timeline, I think it's reasonable to expect na perhaps the team that you have will now be composed of new people. Maybe may isang nagpaiwan, there's one veteran worker, and then four literal newbies who are looking for a new company to join na on LinkedIn. Thank you, internet. Compared to a team na happy sila, they're happy, they're motivated, they have problems to solve, and they're happy with the problem solving that they're doing. Perhaps this team will survive another 10 years. Perhaps you have the same individuals that were there 10 years ago, and you have the added benefit of having a team that knows the company's history and are steadily trying to train new people to join your group. Parang maganda siyang ideal. Again, these are ideals para tayong wishful thinking, pero ideal nonetheless. Magandang mag-strive towards that. Sabi nga nila, di ba, if you don't know where you want to go, then no wind is favorable. We're trying to describe where we want to go with these gamification interventions. So same with study. If you're sad and exhausted, bored ka na. The third problem pa lang that you were given, you're already bored. I don't want to do this. But if you have the motivated, happy individuals, then they enjoy finding problems and solving them themselves. You don't even have to encourage them. Enjoys going over the basics, which we know is important. So given that discussion, what is it now really? What is gamification really? You have the examples, you have where we want to go, our ideal setting. Now, what is gamification? In the world of literature, the most widely accepted scientific definition we have right now is that of Ditterding's, and it's applying game elements to non-game contexts. But I saw the demographics, so let me just define it this way. In simple terms, gamification is making something that's not a game, a game. So it should not be a game first, and then let's make it a game. Let's apply game elements to it so that it could be game-like. But please take note that it's really important that it's not yet a game. Because in the same way that you can't liquefy liquid, you can't gamify an already game, something that's already a game. So to be clarified about this, we need to be dapat sigurado muna tayo what is a game? If there are things around the world, what are those things that can be classified as a game? So let's start with a book, a movie, a TV show. So this book, movie, TV show is so fun and entertaining. Is it a game? And for this, we want to make it a little bit more interactive. Type 1 in the chat if yes, and type 2 if no. Yun. Ay, sorry. So, chat is enabled. Ayan. Okay, so I can see the numbers. Two, yes, one. Ah, yes, fun and entertaining. Okay, thank you for your responses. It means may pwede akong ituro. This is not yet a game. My framework for defining games is the framework that Chris Crawford is using for defining what games are. So, according to Chris, and I'll walk you through his definition, if it's fun and entertaining, but it's not interactive, then it's not yet a game. It's just a source of fun and entertainment. Okay. No worries that you're not that you thought it was. Ito na nga, that's why I'm here. I'm trying to clarify it for everyone. Now you know, may bago na kayong alam. What if it's fun and interactive? Is it now a game? Ayan. Type 1 if yes, type 2 if no. 1, Daria, noted. Audrey, Raven, Jiki, Ian, Kenneth, 1. Abigail, alright. Dito rin sa ano sa Facebook. Okay,
Malamang,
1
1 na.
din. Okay. Hmm. Sige. The answer is not. Nope, not yet. Sorry, hindi pa siya game. If it's fun and interactive, Chris Crawford calls it a plaything. Something that you play with, not yet a game.
Ayun.
Kasi there are also two types. A plaything without an obvious goal. And ito, para may fill in the blanks tayo. A plaything without an obvious goal. It's a toy. So si Jiki, good. It's a toy. When you have a plaything pero walang obvious goal like slimes or bola, it's a toy. But a plaything with an obvious goal, so in this case, I use the example of a Rubik's Cube. What is it called?
Nakapokus ka mo.
Ang galing. Meron na. Challenge. Jonathan, thank you. That's it. You're correct. So a plaything has two types. If a plaything does not have an obvious goal, then it's a toy. If it does, then it's a challenge. But challenges are still composed of two types. And the categorization, si Cedric din dun sa Facebook challenge. Nice, Cedric. You're correct.
Aaron.
If the challenge involves no
Iba-iba.
other
Hindi
people,
iba yun.
agents, ikaw
May
lang,
post ko sa
nandito lang
batuhan eh.
ako, walang ibang tao, there's no player two, then it's called something. Santiago Carl, ang galing. Puzzle. It's called a puzzle. And if the challenge involves
Oh,
you and
nakapalitan
other
ka pa
people
nga.
doing the same challenge as you are, my player two na. What is it
Santiago Carl.
called? Sige, parang ito yung mahirap eh. Kasi when I was also doing the slides, parang hindi siya obvious na yun yung word. The clue is there's an F. Okay na? Going once, going twice. A sentence? Hindi. Pwede,
Bibili
pwede.
lang kita ng mga
May N and may C.
20 to 30 seconds live.
Raquel, I get the intuition why you said sentence pero hindi. Swimming, finance. Kaya talaga. O, ito na. Let me reveal the word. It's called a conflict. Parang Crawford describes it as a conflict. Kasi may player two na. You have another person. And ito na. This is the last this is the last branch out of the definition. If the conflict is set up such that you are not allowed to interfere with other participants, it's called something. Pero when the conflict is set up such that you're allowed to interfere with the other players, then you have a full-fledged game. Santiago Carl, competition. Galing. That's it. Ay, na-reveal ko ba? Yan, competition. Sorry, let me just go back a slide. The example that I gave for game, kasi I was hoping na merong swimming pero pwede kayong magbardagulan. I cannot find any. So I just tried looking at a PS1 game that I enjoyed so much as a kid. It's called 3 Extreme. And then here, it's a race, but you're allowed to punch your opponents. So that gives it that added mechanic of making it a game. So just to be very clear, um, we're designing for games, we're gamifying. And that would mean we are applying it in spaces that are interactive. It has some kind of goal. It's played with others, and others can interfere with you reaching your goal. Yun yung mga spaces where gamification can be applied easily. Of course, you can apply them to other scenarios that do not respect the description of where you can apply them. It's a little bit harder though because you will try to generate the elements that are not there. Parang kung hindi siya interactive, gagawin mo siyang interactive artificially so that you can apply the game concepts. Now we design for such scenarios. Make sure you remember na dapat fun. We're going for fun. It should be